What's up, guys? Jonathan Madden here, coming back at you with another Madden 23 video. And before we get into another rebuild, of course, we just wrapped up our Chicago Bears series. We're going to have a little bit of fun here, do something a little bit different. And this offseason, you had a couple players coming home. And what I mean by that is specifically Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, and Jarvis Landry. Two players who starred at LSU. They come home, in a sense, joining the New Orleans Saints. So that got me thinking, what if the Saints were to get every LSU player? Just make something of a Louisiana powerhouse, if you will. And I mean, think of the possible talent you can add. You can already see here Justin Jefferson, Tre'Davious White, Joe Burrow, of course. Get yourselves a real quarterback. No disrespect to Jameis. I think Jameis can do great things in real life this season, but, I mean, Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. So with all of that being said, we're going to sim a single season, see just how dominant this team can be. Can this Louisiana squad win a Super Bowl? Let's get into it. Let's look at the roster. So here's your starting offense, and before you guys roast me alive in the comments, I did take a few artistic liberties, if you will, and I want to justify them. The first one that I know you'll probably notice is Michael Thomas has been moved to tight end, and the reason for that is look at this receiving core. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Odell Beckham. How often are we going to run 4 wide receiver sets? I want to get all of these guys on the field as much as possible. And second of all, we have no one at tight end. You're telling me you'd rather see Foster Moreau than Michael Thomas? Michael Thomas is like 6'2", 6'3". Sure, he's a little bit light, but for a receiving tight end, the 92 overall is deserved. And aside from that, La'el Collins, right tackle, we moved him to left guard. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe in his time as a Cowboy, he was a little bit versatile. I think he did move around at least a little bit. He's at right tackle right now with the Bengals, but that was our weakest position. Actually, left tackle is, so we might actually move him again. The thing is, though, Trevor Penning's a rookie. I've got high hopes for him. I think we'll leave that as is. But overall, just as a whole, this offense already had some good pieces. Of course, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. But now you add in Joe Burrow, a truly elite quarterback. And again, this receiving core is insane. Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase on the outside. Good luck. Ryan Ramczyk's a good right tackle. The line is still a bit of an issue, but adding La'el Collins helps. We also get Try Turner. And of course, Michael Thomas will be a dynamic tight end for us as well, we hope. Also, we are running the Bengals offensive playbook, just since that's what Joe Burrow knows. That's what he's used to. I think that's more than fair. Heading over to the defensive side of the ball, honestly, coming into the season, I truly believe in real life the Saints have the best secondary in the NFL, if not top 3. I mean, you've got Marshawn Lattimore, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's actually now, where did he go? There he is. Okay, so he's underneath Jamal Adams, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the Honey Badger. But now look at who we've added. Tre'Davious White, one of the best corners in the NFL. We've got some depth now too. Dante Jackson, Patrick Peterson, even though he's like CB5 at this point. And of course, we add Jamal Adams, allowing us to move the Honey Badger over to free safety, where we know he'll excel. On the defensive line, not really a whole lot that we've added. Al Woods, I did not know he went to LSU, so intriguing there. Our linebacking core, Danielle Hunter is a bit out of position. I might actually move him to end. Sorry, Marcus Davenport. But that would allow us to get Deion Jones to the outside, who's great in coverage. Demario Davis, of course, the Saint, is a stud. And Devin White, great player as well. So yeah, I mean, as excited as I am about the offense, I am equally as excited for how this defense can do for us. And we do go ahead and make that position change, and I've got to say I'm happy with the way it looks now. Danielle Hunter and Cam Jordan should be a dynamic duo. DT is the only spot I'm a little bit worried about, but not overly worried. David Onyemata is definitely a solid player for sure, and we've got an insanely talented linebacking trio. This allows us to, of course, let all 3 guys that I really like, the 2 that we brought in, Devin White and Deion Jones, they are both now starting, so we're really maximizing the talent that we have here. The safeties are a little bit wasted. C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Marcus May, they both deserve to be starters, but how can you argue with putting either of them over Tyrann Mathieu or Jamal Adams? Sure, in real life, I would probably not want Jamal Adams first, But in Madden, he's a 91 overall. That hit power is insane. We're going to stick with it. Okay, so week 1 is here. We've got the Falcons. One player we did poach from them is Deion Jones, so we've got the advantage. And already, I mean, we're just so much better on paper. A 90 compared to a 78. Let's set our season goal. And honestly, what else could it be? We're going for the Super Bowl. I truly believe this team is talented enough to do it. We are now among the best of the best in the NFL. Elite players at nearly every position. I think we've got this in the bag. We'll see. We've got some opening day keys, so let's talk to the press here. It's opening day this week and a fresh start for every team around the league. You'll be facing the Falcons. What's the key to victory? We're going to go dominating offense, and we're going to choose to go by way of the passing game. All those new weapons, brand new quarterback, throw for 350 yards. A tall order, sure, but I think we can do it. Okay, so did not expect to see this. We lose week 1. Maybe taking a little bit of time to build some chemistry. 37-29. What's going on with that defense? Okay, so we let Marcus Mariota have an amazing day against us. 299 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Meanwhile, Joe Burrow plays how we would expect Marcus Mariota to. 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Only gets sacked once. Cordell Patterson, 67 yards. Not a whole lot going on. Kamara does get in the end zone. So does Tyler Algier, the rookie for the Falcons. Drake London's over 100 yards. Calvin Ridley is over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Michael Thomas, the tight end now, 78 yards and a score. Justin Jefferson gets a touchdown. Not a whole lot else going on. Bryan Edwards does get a touchdown against us. Devin White is our leading tackler. He gets 10 along with a TFL. Who is getting in there for the sacks? Cam Jordan and Danielle Hunter. And we did not pick off Mariota. That is a shame. The good news is, after playing an elite quarterback like Mariota, we should be able to settle in now going against someone like Tom Brady. Let's see if we can get the win, get ourselves up to 500. Okay, now this is what we want to see. 42-28, we get the win. Looks like our offense dominated. Let's take a look at the stats. Joe Burrow with a great bounce back game, 374 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Brady does have a good game. We'll forgive that. We do get an interception on him, so silver lining there. Kamara gets in the end zone. Keyshawn Vaughn scores for them, and Leonard Fournette out of LSU gets 2 touchdowns for us against his former team. In the receiving game, Odell Beckham over 100 yards, Julio over 100 with 2 touchdowns, Mike Evans scores, Michael Thomas is crushing it as a tight end, so, man, Saints coaching staff, if you're watching this, you're welcome for the idea. Jamar Chase, 83 yards and a score. All in all, very happy with how we performed in the receiving game. Demario Davis was our leading tackler. I don't think there were a lot of sacks to go around this game. Cam Jordan got 1 for us. That's it appears. Who picked off Brady? It was Tre'Davious White. Okay. Go Badgers. Next up on the schedule, we've got the Carolina Panthers. So starting the week off with a bit of a brutal stretch. I mean, not as far as overall talent is concerned, but 3 straight NFC South opponents. I mean, early on in the year, this is going to have playoff implications down the road, and really 5 straight NFC opponents to start the year. That's interesting. However, nonetheless, I don't think the Panthers are a team to worry too much about. I think we should get the win. Don't want to jinx it, but let's find out. Okay, and look at this. Another solid win. Very good win. Matter of fact, 49-28. Second straight week putting up 40-plus points. Let's look at the stats. Joe Burrow throwing 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, 340 yards through the air. Very nice. Baker airs it out, 347 yards, just 1 touchdown though, and we do get an interception, sacking him 4 times. So great work by our pass rush. CMC's over 100 yards. He does score 3 touchdowns on us at 5.8 yards per carry. Kamara hits 88 yards. Leonard Fournette gets in the end zone for us. In the receiving game, Jay Jetta's 171 and 2 scores. Amazing. Richie James Jr. out of nowhere over 100 yards. CMC adds 91 yards through the air for good measure. Jamar Chase scores a touchdown. Odell scores a touchdown. And Michael Thomas scores a touchdown. So, I mean, look at this. We're getting all of these receivers involved. And I know what I said a few minutes ago. I know moving Michael Thomas to tight end would not work in real life. That was a joke. However, in Madden, that is working out swimmingly for us so far, dare I say. Devin White leads the team in tackles. Looks like he does pick up a sack. Who is getting them with him? Cam Jordan and Danielle Hunter. Very nice. And we did pick off Baker, who was the lucky target. Demario Davis with an interception. Okay, so next up, we've got the Vikings coming in with a 2-1 record. Of course, no Danielle Hunter. We swooped him from them. And of course, we do have a few messages to read. I will go ahead and take care of these. I'll let you guys know if anything entertaining happens. However, they are just so repetitive. And if you've watched any of my rebuilds, the Bears series, you've seen all of these before. If you really enjoy them, let me know in the comments. I promise I will start reading them on screen again. I just genuinely feel like they're not that important. But let's go ahead and move forward. Let's see if we can beat the Vikings, get to 3-1 on the year. And I did just catch myself. I noticed I brought up Danielle Hunter, completely ignoring the fact that we stole Justin Jefferson from them. But we get the 22-12 victory, so the offense slows down, but it looks like the defense picks things up. Anytime you allow a team to 12 points, that's a win. So let's look at the stats, see how that happened. And about a quarter into the season, here is your friendly reminder. We're not simming any wins here. But we put up 400 yards of total offense. Burrow has a good game, 278 through the air, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Kirk Cousins was awful, bro. That man misses Justin Jefferson. I feel for him here. Only 153 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, and we sack him 3 times. Passer rating of 37.2. That's pathetic. Kamara, this might be his first touchdown of the year. Kirk Cousins does find the end zone with a rushing score. In the receiving game, Odell, 134 and 2. Justin Jefferson, just 56 yards on his former team. Thielen gets 55 yards. Jamar Chase gets 51. Nothing else going on outside of that. Now let's look at the defense, who starred this week. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is your leading tackler. He does get a TFL. Who was getting the sacks for us? Marcus Davenport, 1.5. Danielle Hunter gets 1 on his former team. Cam Jordan with a half, so he's been very active so far this year. And who picked off Kirk Cousins? Devin White and Marshawn Lattimore. And that's how you get to, what is this now, 3-1 on the year? 3 straight wins. Very happy with this. Okay, so next up on the schedule, we've got the Seattle Seahawks. And I know it's still early in the season, but honestly, overachieving a little bit. 2-2, not bad. However, I don't think there'll be much of a challenge for us. I think this should be an easy win, get us to 4-1 on the year. Let's hope so. And look at that. We get the easy victory, 56-7, not even close. We destroy the Seattle Seahawks. Joe Burrow, again, putting up insane numbers. Almost a perfect passer rating, 368 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks. Drew Lock throws 3 interceptions, gets sacked 5 times. In the run game, Kamara has his first 100-yard game of the year, 130 and a score. Leonard Fournette scores twice. In the receiving game, Odell's over 100 again with 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase gets in the end zone. Justin Jefferson gets in the end zone. You've got 3 receivers over 100 yards. Who else we got here? Jalen Reagor is a Seahawk. He scores a touchdown, surprisingly enough. Nothing else outside of that. Oh, there's Adam Troutman. He scores a touchdown for us. On the defensive side of the ball, Devin White has 10 tackles and a sack. Who else got sacks on the day? Cam Jordan and David Onyemata and Danielle Hunter. It's a very nice day for our pass rush. And as for the secondary, Honey Badger, I believe that's his first interception of the year. C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Marshawn Lattimore. So, amazing day for the defense. And next up, we've got the Bengals, who no Joe Burrow, no Jamar Chase. They are surprisingly 4-1. And look at this, they've got Andy Dalton. I think that's actually because I traded him to them when I was setting up the rosters, but how ironic. Andy Dalton, it's all come full circle, and he's got the Bengals doing very well. So, can he get the upset win against us? That would be something to see. I doubt it, but let's find out. Okay, and Joe Burrow takes down his former team relatively easy, 31-14. Taking a look at the stats here, it looks like we had a good day on offense, 415 total yards. Joe Burrow, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Andy Dalton, no touchdowns, a pick, and sacked 5 times. Our pass rush is killing it. Kamara, almost 100 yards, a healthy 6.1 per carry, and a score. Joe Mixon gets in the end zone, as does Andy Janovich. Don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Adam Prentice, the fullback, scores a touchdown for us. Cole Beasley is the leading receiver. Interesting. Justin Jefferson, over 100 yards with a touchdown. Same for Odell. Not anything else going on outside of that. Honey Badger is the leading tackler. And we did rack up, I believe it was 5 sacks, 2 of those going to Danielle Hunter. Devin White gets 1, Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Davenport, Cam Jordan, Deion Jones, each picking up half a sack apiece. And interceptions, Marshawn Lattimore picks 1 up. So very good game for our defense. Okay, so next up on the schedule, we get Kyler Murray and the 4-2 Arizona Cardinals. It's a primetime game in Arizona. Can we beat them, get to 6-1 on the year? They're just an 80 overall, so possibly outplaying their overall a little bit. Can we beat them? That is the question. And we do, 28-21. Closest game we've had in a few weeks, but we get the victory. So what is this now, a 6-game win streak? Gets us to 6-1 on the year. We're in really good shape. Burrow has an efficient game, not his flashiest numbers, but no turnovers. We like to see that. Kyler Murray does have 1 interception, only sack him once. Not a lot going on in the rushing game, although Fournette has 2 touchdowns. As far as receiving goes, no 100-yard receivers this week, but Michael Thomas finds his way into the end zone, as does Odell. Hollywood Brown gets a score, and so does A.J. Green. The leading tackler for us was Honey Badger again. I believe we had 1 sack. Who was it? It was Cam Jordan. Okay. Interceptions, we had Tre'Davious White picking off Kyler Murray. So another win. We are happy with that. Let's move on. Okay, so next up we get the Las Vegas Raiders. Very busy offseason. They are just 2-4, so definitely disappointing so far. Can we continue that poor streak for them and keep our hot streak alive, get to 7-1? Let's find out. And we end up dominating the Raiders, 41-18, not even close. We had a couple close games the last few weeks, but it looks like we're back to our crushing ways. Let's take a look at the stats. We do have a weekly award as well, so we'll follow up on that here. Joe Burrow with an amazing game, 299 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Derek Carr throws 1 touchdown, 3 picks, and we just harass him. He gets sacked 7 times. Yeah, I'm going to say in real life, if the Raiders struggle this year, it's because of their offensive line. Not good at all, and definitely playing that way in Madden. Kamara has a great game, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7.2 per carry. Josh Jacobs does get in the end zone. Nothing else going on there. Michael Thomas over 100 yards with a score. Keelan Cole over 100 yards. Darren Waller finds the end zone. So does Jarvis Landry, I believe his first touchdown of the year. And so does Adam Troutman and Mark Ingram. Definitely Mark Ingram's first score of the year. Completely forgot we had him. Defensively, Devin White led the team with tackles. Also picked up 1.5 sacks. And as far as the remaining sacks go, Cam Jordan had 2.5, Danielle Hunter had 1, and as far as half sacks go, you've got David Onyemata, Marcus Davenport, Dante Jackson, and Deion Jones. So the pass rush was just all over the place today. Crazy production. Tre'Davious White hauls in 2 interceptions, and Jamal Adams picks them off as well. Did we score any touchdowns or force any fumbles? I'm just curious. I know we've got a player of the week. I know Joe Burrow had a good game, but I mean, it wasn't crazy by any means. Did any of these guys score? I'm just trying to predict it. No defensive touchdowns. So let's see who the player of the week is. I'm guessing Tre'Davious. 2 interceptions will usually do it, but let's find out. And no, it actually is Joe Burrow. Not even his best game of the season, but it must have been the best game of the week. With his 299 yards, 4 touchdowns. Okay, we're happy with that. Okay, and next up we've got Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who are surprisingly 2-6. Now, not that anyone cares, but as far as real life goes, this is my Super Bowl pick out of the AFC this year to make it. I mean, they go what, 8-9 last year? You're telling me that's their floor with all of those injuries, everything they had to go through last year. I don't believe in the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers will be fine, but I don't think they're better than the Ravens. And then the Browns, I do believe in karma in the NFL, and who has worse karma right now than the Browns with who they went and signed this offseason. And of course, the Bengals are great. They stomped the Ravens in both games last year, but I really just have a great feeling about the Ravens this year. But nonetheless, not working out for them in Madden. It is a primetime game at home. We're 7-1. Can we get to 8-1? Let's find out. And look at that, another great win for us, 45-20. We're rolling. We're up to 8-1 on the year. Have a pretty firm grip as far as the NFC South race is concerned, and really starting to put ourselves in position for that 1 seed as well. That week 1 loss is starting to feel further and further away. But yes, second straight week putting up 40 plus. Let's see how we did it. 471 yards of total offense. Burrow has a good game, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick. Lamar throws no touchdowns, gets picked off once. Kamara goes crazy with 147 yards, 1 touchdown. J.K. Dobbins does get in the end zone, so does Gus Edwards. And Joe Burrow finds the end zone, rushing for good measure. In the receiving game, Rashad Bateman's over 100 yards. Justin Jefferson scores twice. Jamar Chase finds the end zone. So good game for the LSU guys. Defensively, CJ was our leading tackler. I believe we had 1 sack against Lamar. We did. It was Marcus Davenport. And 1 interception. Who was it? It was Tre'Davious White, who is having a great year for us. And next on the schedule, we've got the 4-4 Pittsburgh Steelers. So they're coming in with a 500 record. The team is just an 80 overall. I'm not feeling too threatened, but you never know. Let's go ahead and find out. Okay, and we've got another victory, 31-21, a little bit closer than we've seen in recent weeks, but regardless, we'll take it. Another good game for Joe Burrow, 334 through the air, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Trubisky, no touchdowns, picked off once and sacked 3 times. Not a whole lot going on in the run game. Benny Snell does have 2 scores, and Odell Beckham scores a rushing touchdown. Interesting. Justin Jefferson over 100 yards. Odell scores twice through the air, so he was all over the field today. Jamar Chase finds the end zone. Heading over to the defense, our leading tackler was Demario Davis, who also picks up a TFL. I believe we had 1 sack. It was actually a few. Marcus Davenport has 2. Daniil Hunter gets 1. And did we have an interception? Yes, it was Jamal Adams. Next up, we've got the Los Angeles Rams, and who would expect this? Coming in with a 2-7 record. That is crazy, but regardless, Aaron Donald, Matt Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, you never want to underestimate them. I'm hoping for a win, would not be surprised if this is, for lack of a better phrase, a trap game, but let's find out. Okay, and I don't want to say I called it, but I did kind of call it. We lose 37-34 in a close game. Can't be too mad about this. I would still say we're in the driver's seat, definitely for the division, and I would say probably for the number 1 seed as well. But let's see what went wrong. Okay, so getting into the stats here. We did outgain them. We put up almost 500 yards of total offense. Stafford has a great game, no turnovers. Burrow struggles, does throw 2 picks. In the run game, Kamara is over 100 yards with a score. Cam Akers gets in the end zone. Adam Prentice scores, I believe, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the year. Odell over 100 yards against his former team. Justin Jefferson over 100. Cooper Kupp scores twice. Tyler Higbee scores. Michael Thomas scores. Defensively, Devin White was your leader, 13 tackles. Does pick up half a sack and a TFL, so good game for him. Aaron Donald, we only let him sack us once. Devin White, there's his half sack. Marcus May, also picking up half a sack. Interceptions, we got picked off twice. Leonard Floyd and Danny Trevathan. And we lost. And again, not completely discouraged. I really wouldn't even say discouraged at all. But next up, we get the 49ers. They are 7-3 with an 85 overall team. So just very solid. If we lose this, then that would make things a little bit dicey for us as far as that 1 seed is concerned. Let's hope that's not the case. Let's hope for a win here. Okay, so not ideal. We pick up our second straight loss, 38-31. The defense just is kind of letting us down, I'm not going to lie. And let's see what went wrong here. Second straight week allowing 30-plus points. Again, we're outgaining them. It just doesn't matter. Trey Lance has a similar day to what Stafford had. Burrow was okay. Rushing, Kareem Hunt is a 49er. He finds the end zone. Leonard Fournette, if he scores, he's scoring twice. I mean, he's just addicted to scoring 2 touchdowns in a game or none at all. Brandon Ayuk, of all players, scores twice against what should be an elite secondary. And we're letting Albert Wilson score? Seriously? Alvin Kamara finds the end zone, and so does Odell. And here's our defense that completely let us down. But Devin White did what he could, 14 tackles and a sack. Was that our only sack of the game? It was. Thankfully, they didn't get after us too much, so that's good. And Dre Greenlaw picks off Joe Burrow. I'm going to assume that was probably the difference in the game, and that's what gets us our third loss of the year. And coincidentally, the playoff picture is now here. It might have been here last week, I just might not have noticed. We are still in the driver's seat for the 1 seed, and the 49ers are actually the 3 seed, so the Cowboys are right on our tails. Interesting. Okay. And what a brutal stretch this has been heading into our bye week. We're not facing teams with the best win-loss records. The Niners were good, of course. The Rams were not, as far as the record goes. The Bucs are 4-7, but you can never rule out Tom Brady and an 86 overall team. Are we about to pick up our third straight loss heading into the bye week? I'm praying not, but I wouldn't be surprised at this point. No. Okay, we win the shootout this time. 48-42, massive. So it looks like Joe Burrow had the game of his career. Either that or Kamara was the one balling out. We put up 637 yards of offense. Wow. Brady, I mean, he does everything that he can. 5 touchdowns, no picks. Burrow puts up 524 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Longest pass was 76 yards. Wonder who the recipient of that was. Kamara scores twice. Raheem Mostert is a Buccaneer. And there's Leonard Fournette with his 2 touchdowns, like I said. Odell puts up 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, so he was the long reception. But man, crazy game for him. Same for Justin Jefferson, 142. Chris Godwin with 134 and 2. And excuse me, Justin Jefferson did not score. Don't know if I said that or not. Julio scores a touchdown. Jared Cook is a buck. Mike Evans scores. Kamara scores. What a fun game this would have been to watch. Defensively, Devin White has 9 tackles and a TFL. Not a whole lot going on defensively. Danielle Hunter and David Onyemata each pick up sacks. And when it comes to interceptions, we did not pick off Brady, but that's fine. We got the win heading into the bye. And after the bye week, we get the Atlanta Falcons, who are coming in with an 8-5 record. And if I recall correctly, were they not our week 1 loss? I'm pretty sure they were. I'm pretty sure Marcus Mariota had a good game. And with how our defense has played lately, I am a little bit concerned. That would put them up to 9-5, us to 10-4. They'd be a game back. So, honestly, massive playoff implications here, massive division implications. Let's hope for the win. Okay, and despite a pretty poor showing from our defense again, we do pick up the victory, 38-31. So, I would say the NFC South is looking like it's ours to lose at this point. We are going to get the 11-3 Cleveland Browns next in a huge matchup, but first let's check those stats from the Falcons game. Joe Burrow has a perfect game. I mean, not technically, but still, 378 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, long of 79, so we're just having huge plays. Doesn't get sacked. Mariota, I don't know how they put up this many points. I mean, he throws for 385 yards, only throws 1 touchdown. We sack him 5 times. I don't get how our defense is allowing this many points. Not a whole lot going on in the run game. Kamara scores once. Tyler Algier scores 3 times. So I think he scored twice against us in week 1. So he's got 5 rushing touchdowns just against us. Crazy. Odell, 152 and a score. Calvin Ridley, 152, no score. Jamar Chase, 139 and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts, 113. Michael Thomas finds the end zone. And so does Tyler Algier. So, what is that, 6 touchdowns for him? Wouldn't be surprised to see him win Rookie of the Year just on the strength of his 2 games against us. Devin White, leading tackler with 1 TFL and 2 sacks for good measure. Marcus Davenport picks up 1.5 sacks. David Onyemata gets 1. Peyton Turner gets 1. And CJ Gardner-Johnson gets another half. No interceptions this game. Next up on the schedule, we've got Bill Cosby and the 11-3 Cleveland Browns. So huge test for us at this point in the year. Of course, we get the Eagles next week. Don't know what their record's looking like, but this is going to be a huge test for us. See if we're in good shape heading into the playoffs here in a few weeks. Can we get the win? And we do get the big win that we were looking for, 35-21. Huge statement at this point in the year to take down a fellow team that was 11-3 at the time. Let's get into the stats. Okay, so good game for Joe Burrow overall. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He does get sacked 3 times. And we pick off the Predator 3 times, so that's good for us. Sack him twice. In the run game, Kamara over 100 with a score. There's Leonard Fournette with his 2 touchdowns. Johnny Stanton, the fullback, finds the end zone for the Browns. Receiving, Odell scores twice. And Anthony Schwartz gets a receiving touchdown. Okay. Defensively, Demario Davis was the leader for us. Also picks up a TFL. And with the sacks, not a whole lot. Okay. There's Cameron Jordan with 1. Marcus Davenport picks up another. And with the interceptions, we had Jamal Adams, Devin White, and Tre'Davious White. Okay. Great game for us. Love to see the defense bounce back like that. Next up on the schedule, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles. They're an 87 overall. I think possibly the best team on paper we've seen so far. Surprising. And at this point in the year, 8-7, I feel is probably just about right for them. So can't discount them by any means. Would love to get the win here, but can we? And yes, we do get the win, 38-31, a close one. Definitely don't love the performances from our defense in, I would say, the whole second half of the year. But regardless, we get the win. We're up to 13-3. And I think maybe we have the number 1 seed locked up. Let's see how the Cowboys are doing. Let's see how the 49ers are doing. Of course, the 49ers do have us in the head-to-head category. But here are your NFC standings. Okay. Yeah, so I would say we're definitely going to want to win Week 18 against the Panthers. Because if the Niners win, they could jump us. And the Cowboys, I don't know how the tiebreakers would work with them, but there's a chance for them as well. So we can't relax quite yet. Anyways, here are your Eagles stats. They actually outgain us in total yardage. We still come away with the win, though. Burrow has a bit of an uneven day. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Jalen Hurts was efficient. Didn't really seem to make any mistakes. Does get sacked just once. In the run game, not a whole lot going on. Miles Sanders did fumble, and so did Jalen Hurts. Okay. Boston Scott scored, and so did Leonard Fournette. So his days of scoring 2 touchdowns in a game are over for the time being. Odell, 110 and a score. Justin Jefferson finds the end zone. Christian Kirk's an Eagle. When did that happen? Okay. Genuinely confused how that came to be, but we'll take it, I guess. Defensively, Devin White, oh my gosh, 17 tackles, bro? Wow, okay, big game for him. Also picks up a TFL. I think we sacked Jalen once. Yeah, Marcus Davenport got it. No interceptions, but they picked us off twice. Okay, so Week 18, last week of the regular season, we get the Panthers, who are 6-10, so I would say probably about on par for what you can expect from them this year, realistically. It's a divisional game. They're going to want to do everything that they can to keep us from getting that 1 seed. If we win, we've got it locked up. If we lose, I doubt it. So I would really love for us to win this game, but let's see if we do. And great news here, we get the victory. Not only that, our defense finally steps up, only allowing 10 points, so we have earned ourselves home field advantage throughout the playoffs, finishing the year with an amazing 14-3 record. Very nice all around. And just to show a quick summary of the season, we started off the year with a loss to the Falcons. After that, however, we rattled off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 straight wins. Bit of a rough patch about midway through the year, loss to the Rams, followed by a loss to the Niners. Then after that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-game win streak to end the year, culminating in that Week 18 victory against the Panthers that locked up that number 1 seed for us. And in that game, Joe Burrow has a nice day, 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Baker doesn't really do anything, but he does get sacked 4 times. Kamara puts up 66 yards, McCaffrey scores, Fournette scores. In the receiving game, Justin Jefferson over 100 yards with a touchdown. And Adam Troutman also finds the end zone receiving. Defensively, your leading tackler from the Saints was Demario Davis with just 6. Doesn't matter though, only allowed 10 points. And with sacks, David Onyemata picks up 2, Danielle Hunter gets 2. And that will do it for the Saints. I don't believe we had any picks. We did not. So let's take a look at the year-end stats here now that the regular season's over. We finish, of course, with the number 1 offense, not surprising. And honestly, I am a bit surprised to see the number 7 defense. First in points scored and 9th in points allowed. So very solid all around with an elite offense. Looking at the individual stats, Burrow has an amazing year, 5,600 yards, 48 touchdowns, 15 picks. And the picks were a little bit high, I should say that, but still, 5,600 yards, 48 touchdowns, we're not complaining. Kamara puts up 1,400 yards, 13 scores. Leonard Fournette has 16 rushing touchdowns. And surprisingly enough, Odell was, I would say, by a decent margin, our best receiver. 1,600 yards, 17 touchdowns. I know in Sim, there usually is a little bit of bias towards whoever your third receiver is. I don't know why that is, but regardless, Odell benefits and well-deserved. I mean, great year for him. Love the guy. Justin Jefferson's next with 1,400 yards, nearly 1,500, 9 touchdowns. Jamar Chase with 964 and 6. EA is not accounting for that incredible connection that Burrow and Chase have. If it did, I mean, Chase would be putting up like 2,000 yards. Michael Thomas as a tight end puts up 925 and 8. And then not a whole lot else going on outside of that. Kamara with 380 and 2. Next up, we've got the defensive side of the ball. Devin White led the team in tackles with 138. Looking at the sacks, you had Cam Jordan with 12, Danielle Hunter with 10.5, Marcus Davenport 9, Devin White 8, David Onyemata 5.5. Interceptions, you had Tre'Davious White with 6, Marshawn Lattimore with 3, Jamal Adams with 3, and Devin White with 2. And this is always fun as well. Let's take a quick look around the league. So Burrow, I would say, had by far the best passing season. He had the most yards and the most touchdowns by a good margin. I mean, Prescott's next closest, but still. I mean, he was throwing a decent number of interceptions as well. So yeah, I would say, I haven't looked yet, but I think Burrow is probably your MVP, if I had to guess. Rushing, the league leader was Derrick Henry. He puts up 1972 and 13. Nick Chubb scores 21 touchdowns. Zeke is over 1,500 yards. So is Jonathan Taylor. So good games for the running backs. Receiving, there's Cooper Kupp with 2,075 yards. Always goes off in Sim. Scores 19 touchdowns. Incredible. Stephon Diggs is next up, 1,606. And there's Odell. So good year for the receivers. Heading over to the defensive side of the ball, Eric Kendricks was the league leader in tacklers with 156. CJ Mosley and Bobby Wagner both closely behind him. Next up, let's look at the sacks. Von Miller led the league with 20, followed by Joey Bosa with 18.5 and TJ Watt with 18. Interceptions, you had Tre'Davious White actually led the league with 6. So very nice season for us all around. And before we get into the playoffs, let's just take a quick look at those yearly awards. And no, Trey Lance is your MVP. Wow, okay. Interesting. Joe Burrow comes in at second. Did we have any other players on the list? No. Coach of the Year is not going to go to us. We would be expected to go 14-3 with that stacked roster that we had. In fact, I would have hoped for a win or two more, but regardless, we're the 1 seed. Odell comes in at second to Cooper Kupp for your Offensive Player of the Year. Joe Burrow also earning votes, coming in at 9. Devin White is your Defensive Player of the Year. Okay, love that for him. Offensive Rookie of the Year, we're not going to have any rookies coming in. Rookies just were not finding the field due to the nature of the video. And Joe Burrow is your second best quarterback. I don't care enough to go back and look at Trey Lance's stats, but that is interesting. You know what? Yeah, we'll go back and look. Christian McCaffrey's your best running back. Kamara comes in at 3. Best receiver, of course, is Cooper Kupp. Odell comes in at 2. Justin Jefferson at 7. Okay. Best O-line, we have a few guys. Leo Collins, Trey Turner, Ryan Ramczyk. We have 3 of our 5 offensive linemen making the list, so that's nice. Cam Jordan earns number 4 on best defensive lineman. Danielle Hunter coming in at 8. Best linebacker. Devin White wins Defensive Player of the Year, but surprisingly comes in at 4 here. That's interesting. Best DB is Tre'Davious White with his 6 interceptions, well-deserved. And best kicker, yeah, we probably weren't scoring many field goals, a lot of PAT. So Younghoe Koo is your best kicker. And here are Trey Lance's numbers. So 3,900 yards, 37 touchdowns, 5 picks. I mean, great efficiency, sure. Throwing that many touchdowns to that many interceptions, but still not even over 4,000 yards. Was he getting it done with his legs? I mean, 600 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's just, I don't get it. I mean, fine, I guess, but yeah, I would have given it to Burrow, personally. But regardless of how I feel, it's time for the playoffs. The Falcons won their wild card game, so we get to face off with them for a 3rd time this year. They beat us in week 1. We beat them later on in the year. Who will win this 3rd matchup? And they did actually knock off Trey Lance's 49ers with relative ease, 35-17. So an impressive win for them. Remember, the Niners beat us earlier in the year. And what else is going on the NFC side? The Cowboys beat the Seahawks easily. Surprise playoff team, the Seahawks. The Packers topped the Vikings in a divisional game, so you've got a Cowboys-Packers divisional round. That should be good. Over on the AFC, Russell Wilson and the Broncos are going to ride on to Kansas City, setting up an AFC West battle. And you've got Trevor Lawrence. He is shutting out Justin Herbert's Chargers in the wild card round. The Bills dropped 50 on the Bengals, who surprisingly made it with Andy Dalton. So unfortunately, Cincinnati's playoff wins are just not going to continue with Andy Dalton. So over there, you've got, not Joe Burrow. Trevor Lawrence facing off with Josh Allen in the divisional round, if I can get my words out. So a lot of good games this week. But the one that we care about the most is going to be this one, NFC South battle, conference championship game on the line. Who comes out on top? And we do get the victory, 35-21. We top the Falcons, and we are headed to the conference championship game. And here are how your divisional games went. So Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs beat Russell Wilson's Broncos pretty easily, 31-16. They are headed to the AFC Championship game, where they will get a rematch with Josh Allen as the Bills top the Jags 42-25. Good learning experience for Trevor Lawrence in his 2nd year. The Packers absolutely destroy the Cowboys 55-17. The Cowboys, they beat us earlier in the year. No, they didn't. Never mind. That was the Rams and the Niners. We have not played the Cowboys yet, and we won't play them because they lost. But here's our game. How did we get to that 35-21 victory? We outgained them. They did put up 345 total yards, so they had a decent game. Joe Burrow was efficient, 3 touchdowns and no picks. Mariota played well, but we did sack him 4 times, and somehow we sacked Desmond Ridder as well. He must have gotten in there for a trick play. That didn't go well. Kamara over 100 yards with 2 touchdowns. Cordell Patterson does score. In the receiving game, you had Justin Jefferson with 98 yards. Calvin Ridley scores twice. Jamar Chase also scores twice. And Adam Prentice, the fullback, finds the end zone. The leading tackler was Jamal Adams. First time I believe he's had that honor. He shares it with Devin White. And as far as sacks are concerned, you had Danielle Hunter picking up 2.5. Shy Tuttle, first time saying his name all year, with 1. And Cam Jordan had 1. No, he had a half, forgive me. Demario Davis and Marcus Davenport each picking up half a sack. Don't believe we had any picks this game. We did not, but we're moving on to Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, and the Packers. But anyways, biggest game of the year, Green Bay Packers. Thankfully, we do have the advantage of this being the conference championship game, which we do know is Aaron Rodgers' kryptonite. That along with the COVID vaccine. So hopefully EA takes that into consideration. Hopefully we get ourselves to the Super Bowl. Let's find out. All right, and we get the narrow victory, 35-33. What a thriller, and we are headed to the Super Bowl. Here are your conference championship games. So the Chiefs top the Bills again in a very close game. But let's look at ours here. See how we were able to get ourselves to the Super Bowl. They actually outgained us in total yards. They put up 174 yards rushing. But it didn't matter. We got the win, and we did it with Joe Burrow having an efficient game. No turnovers. Sacked twice. We do force Aaron Rodgers into throwing 1 and sack him 3 times, so that may have been the difference. Aaron Jones goes over 100 yards and finds the end zone. There's Leonard Fournette with his lucky 2 touchdowns. Kylan Hill scores. When you look at the receiving game, Odell has a great game, 129-2. Robert Tonyan finds the end zone, and so does Sammy Watkins, playing like it's week 1. Randall Cobb scores, and that will do it for the receiving game. Defensively, Demario Davis puts up 13 tackles. Devin White has 11. I think we had 1 or 2 sacks. There's Danielle Hunter with 2. David Onyemata gets 1 as well. And we picked off Rodgers once, and it was Marshawn Lattimore. Biggest game of his young career so far, and it gets him to the Super Bowl, where we will face off with Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. And it all comes down to this, 1 seed versus 1 seed. The Chiefs got here by topping Russell Wilson's Broncos and Josh Allen and the Bills, many people's favorite for the Super Bowl. So impressive run for them. Meanwhile, we get here with a relatively easy game in the divisional. We get Marcus Mariota and the Falcons. However, we do have to take care of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, who give us all the fight that they can. And the Chiefs are coming in here. Their record is 14-3. They're an 85 overall team. There's really no telling how this game will go. It's the Super Bowl. All we can do is cross our fingers and wait. Who will it be? Let's find out. And we pull it off. The New Orleans Saints and the LSU Tigers combine to get a world championship together. 23-14. Let's see how it happened. So definitely a lower scoring game than I would have expected. Definitely not complaining. We outgained them in total yards just barely. They have more passing yards than us. Let's take a look here. So Mahomes has a decent game. 289 through the air, a touchdown, no pick, sacked twice. Burrow, very similar, 234, a touchdown, no picks, also sacked twice. Rushing, Kamara puts up 91 yards. Odell does get a rushing score, and so does Jerick McKinnon. In the receiving game, MVS is the only receiver over 100. Mecole Hardman gets 96 and a touchdown. Taysom Hill gets a receiving score. Have not said his name once all year. I know that for a fact. Defensively, Demario Davis gets 9 tackles. As far as sacks go, you've got Carlos Dunlap gets 2 for the Chiefs. Devin White, Tre'Davious White, David Onyemata, and Marcus Davenport. The 4 of those guys put on a group effort to pick up a total of 2 sacks, and there are no interceptions. So, wow, not really a standout player from this game. I'm guessing they give it to Burrow by default, but who will it be? Let's find out. And here's your season recap. So Demario Davis is actually the Super Bowl MVP, which I'm not too mad about, because had they given it to Joe Burrow, I mean, that would have been one of the least inspiring Super Bowl MVP performances. So Yeah, the leader of a defense that holds Pat Mahomes to 14 points. I'm not going to argue with that at all. Love seeing John Mechie pick up Offensive Rookie of the Year. Good for him. Prayers for a quick recovery for him in real life. But yeah, that is your season recap. And if you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, this experience as much as I did. If you want to see videos like this in the future, please let me know in the comments. Let me know your overall thoughts on the videos. And I will see you guys hopefully shortly within the next few days with another rebuild series coming at you. I've got it narrowed down to my last few teams, so let me know if you'd like to make a final push for who that team might be. Definitely let me know your thoughts. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys next time.